Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports. Now I don't know how good of a morning this is because as we all know, last night Sri Lanka managed to enter into their 5th World Cup encounter, and for the 4th time in about 6 years they failed to take the cup home. But then that's unfortunate for the Sri Lankans. It's very fortunate for the West Indies, who took away the ICC World T20 Championships. And the captain talking right after at the presentation ceremony was saying how this is going to be a very important victory for everyone in the Caribbean. So all the best to the West Indies, who played a brilliant game. Now before that, let's take a look at some of the headlines as usual. We'll take a look at some of the stories on the front of the Daily Mirror. Starting off, district judges, magistrates are on strike today. Now, work in all district and magistrates courts in the country is likely to come to a standstill today, as the district judges have decided to keep away from work in protest against yesterday's assault on Judicial Services Commission Secretary Manjula Thilakaratne. Now, just a flashback, the JSC secretary was assaulted in Mount Lavinia. The JSC secretary Manjula Thilakaratne was assaulted by a group of 4 men near Mount Lavinia yesterday morning while he was inside his car. And in response to that, President Mahinda Rajapaksa has said, President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who strongly condemned yesterday's attack on Judicial Services Commission Secretary, ordered IGP to take quick action to bring the perpetrators to justice. There we go. President Mahinda Rajapaksa has informed, or rather requested, the IGP to make a quick investigation to sort out the matter. But then again, district judges, magistrates might be on strike today. Now moving on to yet another unfortunate event. Lightning kills 2 Koreans. The bodies of the 2 Korean tourists who were struck by lightning while on a visit to the Lipton Sea Tourist Resort in Haputale on Saturday were brought to Diyatalava Hospital yesterday. Now on the papers here we have the pictures of the 2 Koreans who were killed by a lightning strike, which was very unfortunate. Moving on to the education, and now it's slightly becoming less of a crisis, where the FUTA might call out of its strike. A-level paper marking to begin today. Marking of GCE advanced level answer papers will begin today, as some university teachers have agreed to participate in the process. And also there's a story saying that the FUTA might call off its strike. The strike action launched by the university teachers, which has lasted for almost 3 months, will finally come to an end this week, as the Federation of University Teachers Association have decided to end the strike after their meeting with Basil Rajapaksa, who is of course the Economic Development Minister. So that is a bit of a development on the education crisis that's been taking a toll on the country for about 3 months. So there we go. That is the look at the headlines of the front page. Moving on to some of the international stories. Now, Japan and Sri Lanka are to share counter-piracy experience. Just a flashback about the Sri Lanka-Japan relationship. Diplomatic relations were established between Sri Lanka and Japan officially in April 1952. Now, and direct investment from Japan as of 2003, there were 9 direct investments totaling 710 million yen. And a cultural grant has been given also of 792 million for Sri Lanka by Japan. Now, Japan and Sri Lanka, as we all know, have a lot in common, and in terms of culture, we share a lot of similarities in terms of culture as well. Now, moving on with that, Japan and Sri Lanka are to share counter-piracy experience. The Japanese Coast Guard has pledged to share its counter-piracy experience with the Sri Lanka Coast Guard. Now, this is very important, especially taking into account the Somalian waters, where we find news items coming in of a lot of piracy activities. And this will be yet another endeavor that Japan and Sri Lanka might do together in order to bring the 2 countries and their relationships closer. Moving on with the international news, we have cricketer turned politician, Mr. Imran Khan, who has taken to the streets to protest. Pakistan drone protest aims to enter tribal area. Now, cricketer and politician Imran Khan and his followers were to try to enter Pakistan's tribal belt Sunday to protest against US drone strikes in defiance of official warnings. And if you can see the picture here, this is Pakistani cricketer and politician Imran Khan leading Western activists and thousands of supporters on a defiant march to the tribal belt to protest against US drone strikes. So there we go, just a look at some of the international stories as well. Moving on to the business stories, the Daily Mirror business section says that Lankan exports are now feeling the GSP Plus pinch. The removal of the GSP Plus facility is one of the main causes of the current downward trend in Sri Lanka's exports sector performance. And Sri Lankan exports have contracted by 4.6% from January to July, generating earnings of US dollars 5.8 billion during the period in question. And the Director of Economic Affairs at the Commonwealth Secretariat, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, says that the removal of the GSP Plus is actually being felt for the Sri Lankan exporters at the moment. And also moving in with the business stories, rapid rise in public debt. Now, the rise in public debt has crossed the rupees 1 trillion mark within the first 7 months of this year, renewing fresh concerns over sustainability. Now, as we all know, world around, people are moving toward a debt-oriented spending spree, I would say. And in Sri Lanka, there has been a rapid rise in public debt. And if you look at it, the total figure within 7 months of this year is up by rupees 1 trillion, almost double the value of the rise in the whole of 2011. There we go, concerns in terms of the rise in public debt. And taking a look at the sports stories, of course, the main story of every paper will carry the West Indies team, as we can see here, pictures of them celebrating their victory after the ICC World T20 World Cup win. Now, we know that the match in question, I don't think we need to get into the details of the match because I'm sure many of you would have watched it at home. But there we go, celebrations for the West Indians, and the captain obviously mentioning that this will be a very important victory for everyone in the Caribbean, and this will be a landmark in their cricketing history as well. And moving on to the ICC T20 women's match, Australia women defend World T20 title successfully. Defending champions Australia successfully retained the Women's World 2020 title with a close 4-run win over arch rivals England in the final played at the R. Premadasa Stadium. So that's a bit of cricket for you. Obviously, I'm sure many of you were watching the women's and the men's finals yesterday, and unfortunately for Sri Lanka, we were not able to clinch the title for the World Cup title for 4 times. We came into the finals in 2007, in 2009, in 2011, and once again in 2012, and we were unfortunate not to be able to take it home. And Mahela Jayawardene has mentioned at the press conference right after the match that he will be retiring from captain as the T20 in the T20 format of the game in order to groom a younger player to take his position. So there we go, a bit of cricket for you. But coming into rugby now, also in rugby, the oldest rugby silverware on offer, the Clifford Cup rather, it's an age-old trophy, was won 6 in a row. Clifford Cup stays in Nittavela. The champion rugby outfit did it again when they won the oldest rugby silverware on offer, the Clifford Cup, for the 18th time. And for the last 6 years, they've been winning it consecutively. We're talking about none other than the Kandy Sports Club, who obviously are on the papers. The pictures show the Kandy Sports Club celebrating after their win against Havelock Sports Club. And the final scoreboard read 10 points to 5. And Kandy Sports Club managed to take the Clifford Cup home for the 6th consecutive time. Going on with rugby and international rugby, the All Blacks were fighting back to defeat the Springboks. Now, New Zealand scored 20 points in the second half to complete a perfect rugby championship campaign Saturday with a 32-16 triumph over arch rivals South Africa. And the final scoreboard read All Blacks 32, Springboks 16. I mean, talking about rugby and New Zealand, obviously they've been top-notch right from their victory at the World Cup. They've been absolutely clinical, no mistakes. They've been playing almost a perfect game of rugby. And once again, they managed to fight back to defeat the Springboks. Although the Springboks were having a 10-point early lead in the first half, the New Zealanders came back with 20 points in the second half to make the final score 32-16. There we go, just a bit of sports for you. And taking a look at the entertainment stories. Renowned Sri Lankan cinema star, Mr. Vijay Kumaratunga, his 67th birth anniversary is falling tomorrow. As we all know, his contribution to the Sri Lankan cinema was absolutely, totally valuable, and people still remember him as being one of the pioneers of Sri Lankan cinema. So there we go. And also, taking a look at some of the Sri Lankan cinema news, the popular filmmaker Sunil Veerasinghe's latest directorial venture, Veerya, has been completed now, and it will be awaiting release. The producer and director Sunil Aruna Veerasiri has just returned from India after the final processing of his latest film, Veerya. So there we go, that's a bit of entertainment stories as well for you. Now later on in the show, we have a lot of interesting stories coming your way. A bit about how the cliff diving is taken on to another level, and also a bit about how multitasking can be done even by policemen. You might wonder what this is, but we will come back with the stories after a quick commercial break. And keep watching Good Morning Sri Lanka.